You are listening to Season 2 of The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, the short and often daily podcast in which I chronicle my life and attempt to be a writer by writing daily. Sometimes. Hello, today is Thursday, the 8th of May 2025, and you are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. And it's such a stereotype, but I've had a productive day today. I didn't know if I was going to, and it certainly wasn't as productive as yesterday. I haven't got 3 chapters signed off or anything, but I did something it was quite hard work. So the first chapter, where I felt I needed to do quite a lot of work. So up until this point, signing off the chapters has really been a case of, yeah, that's fine, making the odd tweak. And the first session I did this morning was a bit like that. So yesterday I did chapter 10 as a screen read through. This morning I printed off, signed it off. And then I thought, well, I might as well start looking at chapter 11. And I started looking at chapter 11, and that's when I realised it was going to be quite a lot of work. And I just wasn't in the mood to do it right then, so I stopped. I had a few things to do, so I had to go and pick up my suit from the dry cleaners because I'm going to be wearing that to the graduation ceremony, and so I had it dry cleaned. And also, my blinds are sorted. They've sent me a quote. I've accepted it. So my blind's going to get made up for my spare room, the blackout blind, so I can sleep in proper darkness during the day. That's all done. They reckon it could be 4 weeks to manufacture, but that's fine. I'm in no rush, and they'll fit them when they're done. So yeah, I did all that, and then I came back, and I actually did something I haven't done for a while. I wrote or did a bit of editing offline, and the reason was there was basically a new scene. Well, not a new scene, but a lot of additional material that needed to be incorporated into the opening scene with with Ronnie and Oakley in the car. And it was because at the back of my head I was thinking, well, why didn't they do this, or why didn't they do that? And logically, wouldn't they have done this? So I needed to address, as a reader, I would be asking, well, why? So I had to address those points as to why certain things didn't happen, and also I just kind of realised that in the original draft, Ronnie walks into Carruthers' house with no idea of the background and what's going on. And it's like, well, they've just been on a 4-hour car journey to get there. They would definitely have discussed it. So it made much more sense to show that conversation, explain a little bit about Mackenzie's background. And then it would make much more sense when Ronnie is much more kind of, not forgiving, but she's much more sympathetic and empathetic with him because she knows some of what he's been through to get to this point. Although there's a moment in a later chapter when he opens up to Marianne something else that happened when he was young, which is horrific, and I feel bad including it as a story detail, but it so informs the background of the character, it kind of needs to be there. And also the fact that he trusts Marianne to tell them this horrendous thing that happened to him, it was a moment that helped build that relationship. Now, bearing in mind that there wasn't meant to be a relationship when I started writing it, Marianne was meant to be one of my not background, but certainly a secondary or tertiary character. And it was the friendship that built with Mackenzie as a result of certain things happening, like what he tells them and other things that happen. Yeah. So I was looking forward to introducing Mackenzie and Carruthers because I love them as characters, and Carruthers comes across really badly in this chapter. Really, really badly. And he's been appalling. He's badly let Mackenzie down. But you kind of understand why in the next time we see him, and also the next time we see him, Idrisil has rebalanced him and sorted him out, and his behaviour is what it should have been, but never has been during Mackenzie's lifetime. So it's almost like he's a completely different character when he pops up again. He's the man that he should be. And yeah, I enjoyed writing that as well. But also the reason for why he let himself get into the state he was in is quite sad as well. Yeah, I like giving my characters a good time. But honestly, this chapter, so I came in, so I did all that work and then thought, right, that should be there now. I'm going to sign it off. So I came and did a live stream and printed out on paper and read through it, and so much more needed to be done. And also I was getting interrupted because my friend who I'm visiting tomorrow in Phoenix was messaging me to sort out bits and pieces about tomorrow, and so I didn't feel like I'd concentrated properly, and I didn't feel like the chapter flowed properly, and I almost left it. And I thought, no, I'm going to go through it one more time. And I went through it one more time, and it still needed a lot of work. And I got to the end of it at the second printed sweep thinking it's still not right. And I did a third sweep. And the third sweep, I still removed a couple of paragraphs that I suddenly realised just didn't need to be there. But the third sweep of the chapter worked like I needed it to. And so thankfully I've been able to sign off chapter 11 today, which is great because it means, I can't remember if I just said this in the podcast or just in my live stream, so apologies if I'm repeating myself. There are 44 units of work in this book, one prologue, 43 chapters, total of 44, and I've just signed off number 11. Oh no, I've just signed off 12 actually, because it's the 11th chapter, but it's the 12th work unit, so I'm over a quarter of the way through, so that's really good. Bearing in mind the target I've set myself is to reach chapter 20 by the end of this month. Well, it's the 8th and I've just signed off chapter 11, which means effectively I only need to do another 9 this month to hit my target. Excuse me. Now, I absolutely will hit that target. And if I can overreach it and maybe get this signed off ahead of my deadline at the end of July, brilliant. Anyway, I've made the decision not to podcast tomorrow because I'm not going to be doing any writing and then I'm getting on a flight. Okay, unusually this flight is for leisure rather than work, but it still means it's going to take up most of my day. So I did consider trying to record a podcast actually on the flight because I've not done that before because I've always been working. But it'd be a bit weird, talking, even if I'm talking quietly into my phone. It's just going to seem weird with loads of people sitting around me. I am in business class. I've got confirmed business class tickets, so it's not like I'm sitting right on top of people as if I was in economy. But even so, it just feels a bit weird to do that. So I've decided not to. So I will be back on Saturday the 10th. I'm just going to have the one day off. The other thing is I did double check, and the anniversary of Penny's passing is the 14th. So I won't do a podcast on the 14th, so I won't do one tomorrow and I won't do one on the 14th. But other than that, we should carry on. Anyway, that's me waffling on too much. Thank you for listening. I will be back the day after tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye-bye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. For more information about what I'm writing, go to linktr.ee/Richard Writes, capital R, capital W, where you can find details of my website and social media. I may see you there.